Worst day in prison. What was it like?
The worst day in prison for me, there's a real. It's interesting. So I put up a YouTube video earlier this week, and in there I referenced a behind me is my prison journal. You see, I have two of my first books, Ethics in Motion and Lessons from Prison. In there is my prison journal, and in there on June 28th at 1:43 p.m. I wrote down a quote from Dostoevsky, if I said that correctly, who of course wrote Crime and Punishment, and he essentially said that the second half of a man's life is simply a repeat of the first half because of the habits that have been created. And a day like that was the most sobering, humbling day in my life, or like the worst day in prison, because I realized I had a year left to serve. I had terrible habits that led to a prison term. I wasn't doing anything to cultivate or change those habits. And I knew that he was right, and I was sickened and disgusted at myself that I had fallen so far. So, learning from mentors, both dead and alive, reinforced how much I needed to prepare, but it also reinforced how far I had fallen. So I had a lot of days like that in prison where the reality that I was there, and it's sobering to wake up in life and tell yourself, this wasn't what I had expected for my life. More specifically, of course, there are some down days that accompany confinement. There were six-figure investment deals I lost because I wasn't home to work or fund them. My dog died in prison, though in my experience relative to other prisoners was nothing compared to what long-term prisoners endure through 10, 20, 30, 40 years away for nonviolent drug crimes, the suffering that accompanies mass incarceration of fathers visiting with their children in prison, not able to give any guidance. So to be very clear, there were no really terrible days in prison for me. I had it better than most. My sentence was shorter. I had my youth. I had a lot of support, and I had a will to work and a drive to become better. The real tough days for my fellow prisoners who were there for too long and they weren't home to be able to provide a sense of mentorship and love for their family. And I'm grateful that it wasn't longer. I had it better than most, and I know that.